When he was a young warthog. When I was a young warthog. Very nice.
All right, guys, today we're going to work on our animal research project. I am going to provide an example of how you might go about this process today. And yes, I am going to be researching Pumbaa, otherwise known as a warthog. First, I'm going to read these directions to you in case you haven't read them yourself at home. Before you start writing, make sure you have chosen one zoo animal to research. You have found and read the article posted on Google Classroom in week 4 assignments, and that's only the one that has to do with your animal. You'll answer the questions about your animal, and you'll research your animal on the internet. I have provided good websites for you, and it's on the next page, and I have used some of those websites for my own research today. And then you're going to answer the questions on the following pages to help organize your thoughts about your project. So this is included in your animal writing project pages within the project on Google Classroom. So those are the websites that are going to be the most helpful and the most accurate as far as information about your animals. I am not going to read an article from Google Classroom about my animal because there is not an article on this animal. And the reason I did that is because not everybody got back to me about what animal they chose for their project. So I didn't want to do one that somebody else was going to choose from the list of options. And then them just copy what I do today. So, and of course, what did I tell you yesterday? As soon as I hit record, guess who starts going crazy? Sorry if they're distracting to you. So what I had you do yesterday on Tuesday, I think, hopefully, is I had you start pre-writing. Maybe I had to do this on Monday. But if you haven't started doing this yet, we'll work on this together. So first I need to write down what animal I have. Well, I'm researching the warthog. Oh, I wrote it in the wrong spot. This is already going really well. Okay. Now, should I just make up information? What does the animal look like? No. I should use my resources that Mrs. Keller gave me to help me with my research. Wow, this is the same website that we used for our field trip last week. So warthog is actually on here, and a lot of your animals are on here. So this is what a warthog looks like. That's its face. Let's see if we can get another picture. Okay, so it looks like rough skin. Ooh, rough skin. Wiry hair. Walks on 4 legs. Tusks coming out. Of the mouth. Let's see, anything else that we find important? Let's see what kind of feet a warthog has. It's hard to see on this page, so I'm going to use another resource that Mrs. Keller provided for you, National Geographic Kids. I can see the feet a lot better there. It looks like they have hooves. That's what it looks like to me. So kind of like pig's feet. Not quite hooves, but you know, they've got those thick nails. So what does the animal look like? Feet similar to a pig's. I might mention that they're kind of small. or kind of short. Okay, so that describes what they look like. So let me show you, see if I can make my screen bigger so you can see better. As far as it's gonna let me go. So I have a bulleted list, not complete sentences, explaining that what I found out about the warthog using accurate sources is they have rough skin, they have wiry hair, they walk on 4 legs, they have tusks coming out of their mouths, their feet are similar to a pig's, they remind me of a pig's feet, and they are kind of small. Okay? Next question is, where do they live? I'm not going to be able to tell that just by looking at them with my eyes. Let's use some other senses. Let's use some other, more of our resources here. Alrighty. Well, first of all, I noticed that it says that the warthog lives in Africa. That is a place where it lives. That's the continent. So Africa is the continent that it lives on. Oh, look, more about their habitat or where they live. They live up in a place called savanna. If I don't know what a savanna is, I can look it up. I will tell you right now, a savanna is kind of like a dry, grassy area where there's, you know, occasionally trees, but you know, it's not like a rainforest or around where, doesn't look like around where we live. Imagine the Lion King. That is the place where Pride Rock is. That is like the savanna. So let me give you a better idea of what the savanna looks like. I just want to see if there's anything on my sources here that could show you. No, so I'll have to Google it. I'm going to pause this. Alrighty, I think we're back. So I went ahead and looked up some pictures for you of a savanna so that you can get a better idea. So there is grass. It's just that it doesn't rain a lot in the savanna. So it is very dry, coarse grass. Not very good for grazing. And then, like I said, there are occasionally trees, but it's nothing like what we see here in our habitat. It's nothing like what we would see in a rainforest. There's just occasionally a couple of trees, a couple of bushes, brush, and then lots of dry grass. All right, let's get back to it. So where do they live? Savanna. I might make note. Dry. Coarse grass. Sparse, that means few. Trees. Okay. So I'm looking at the subtopics here, love song, very adaptable. I'm looking at those headings or subtopics to see if there's any information that jumps out at me regarding where they live or their habitat. Remember, a heading or subtopic is going to tell you what is inside of that information, that paragraph, that page. So I don't see anything else about their habitat on this page. I'm going to go from the San Diego Zoo page to the National Geographic page and see if there's anything else. Okay. There aren't headings so far on this page, so I'm just going to scan. So I'm not going to read everything, but I'm going to look for information about where they live. Predators, tusks, Wow, National Geographic Kids doesn't have too much information. All right, so now I'm going to go on this website. Answers in Genesis is a site that is .org. That means that it is a more reputable site than a .com, like a Wikipedia page. And it does have a lot of information about animals. And it just kind of sticks to information about the animals, which is great. Features. Okay. Oh, something we didn't mention that it says here is that warthogs are usually black or brown. That has to do with what they look like. So I might add next to rough skin, black, brown. It's always okay to add information to what you've already written. That's why you're writing notes and not complete sentences. Well, there's some fun facts. That's a subtopic that you have to focus on at some point. Savannas and forests of Africa. So it looks like that's about all the information we have, and that's fine. We've done some digging. Great. So we have information on what the animal looks like. I added what color this website said that warthogs are typically. And then, again, not as much information on their habitat, but that's okay. We know they live in Africa. They live in the savanna, which is like a dry forest in Africa. I made a note that it's dry, it's got coarse grass, and few trees, because that's what I observed with my eyes. This was what I had you do on day 1 of your writing project. Notice how that took us, let me see, what time are we at? It's not gonna show me in share screen. It didn't take us very long. It's been maybe 10-15 minutes, and you're supposed to be doing an average of an hour and a half to 2 hours of schoolwork a day. So this isn't even half of that time, just doing this, okay? I broke it up very manageably for you. Now imagine this is the next day. Today I need to figure out what animals eat. So what do warthogs eat? Let's do some digging. Thankfully, all 3 of these websites are organized in a way where it's quite easy to find this information. So it says food. What do they eat? They eat plants and more. I noticed that it says omnivore. Now I see some pictures here. I might not know what that means. I might click on omnivore. It says warthogs will eat grass, roots, berries, tree bark, insects, eggs, and even some animal carcasses, which is animals that have passed away. So not only do warthogs eat plants, but they also eat, some insects, and sometimes if they're, if they need to, they will eat animals that have passed away. So what do they eat? I've got a list right here. Grass, roots, berries, tree bark. I'm going to include those in just one bullet point because those are all examples of different types of plants or plant parts. I'm going to add a second dot to tell myself here's other examples of things they eat. Now is where I'm going to include the meat part. So they're omnivore. They not only eat plants, but check out this second bullet point. They also sometimes eat meat, insects, eggs, and I'm going to write dead animals, which might not be so PC, but I don't have room to write animal carcasses or animals that passed away. So I apologize if that offends you. All right, let's look at National Geographic Kids and see if we can find any more information. Now this is herbivore. And herbivore is how it's actually pronounced. Actually means that they're plant eaters. What's interesting is that we found out that sometimes they don't just eat plant parts. So it's interesting that these two are inconsistent. I think what National Geographic Kids is trying to tell you is, for the most part, they eat just plants. When they get desperate, they will eat, insects, eggs, dead animals. So I'm going to make a note that says mainly plant eater. So if you get inconsistent information from reputable sites that have a .org or a .gov, not a .com, you aren't going to get your most accurate information at a .com. That is how I would go about doing that. Consider the source. Okay, National Geographic knows a lot about animals. They have people researching, and studying animals. However, this is at a zoo where they take care of animals every day. So these are things that they notice that their warthogs are eating, whereas this is what National Geographic has observed them eating in the wild. So they're both correct. Just make a note that, I noticed here it says they eat plants. I also noticed here it said they eat plants. So in 2 sources I found that they eat plants. In only one I found that they sometimes eat meat. So I'm going to make a note that mostly they're sticking to plants. I'm checking the next website, the 3rd website, just to see if I can find any more information about their diet. And I'm scanning. Diet, plants, present diet. So mostly like what the San Diego Zoo was saying. They eat grass, roots, bark, berries, sometimes carrion. If you don't know what carrion is, you could Google it. So this is also saying mostly plants, okay? So good thing I made note of that they eat mostly plants. And the other things that they mentioned, berries, roots, I've already made note of that because of the San Diego Zoo page. So I am going to not write that a second time. In summary, what does this animal eat? I have written grass, roots, berries, tree barks. Also, sometimes insects, eggs, and dead animals. Mainly though, they are plant eaters. Okay? Interesting facts. Well, I noticed on this page, Answers in Genesis, that there was a whole subtopic under this heading that says fun facts. So let's check there first. The warthog lets birds perch on it and eat parasites that are on its body. This helps to keep the warthog healthy. That's a really interesting fact. So I'm going to include that here. However, I can't steal the person who wrote this. I can't steal their words. This is what they wrote. I have to write it in a new way. The warthog lets birds perch on it and eat parasites that are on its body. So I might write, birds, perch means sit, on warthogs, and keep pests. Pests is kind of an all-encompassing word for different kind of parasites and insects. Birds sit on warthogs and keep pests off of it. Okay. After a night's sleep, a warthog will dash out of its burrow to get a head start on any predator that might be lurking by. Wow, that's so interesting. What an anxious way to start your day. You think that it's annoying waking up to an alarm clock. Imagine waking up because you're terrified that a cheetah or a lion might be lurking anywhere nearby. So I might write, as soon as they wake up, they start distancing themselves from predators. Now, I don't have any space left. Does that mean I can just move on? I'm going to keep looking for maybe 1 or 2 more facts, and then I'm going to write them in the margins if I find anything I like. Oh, that's interesting. So yes, we know the warthog looks similar to a pig or a hog, but this is what I noticed when I was skimming. It says, but it is known for its warty face and large protruding tusks. I didn't realize that a warthog had warts on it. Think about it. Wart is in its name. I might make note that I thought that was interesting. Warthogs are known for having warts on their faces. See how I wrote that in the margins because I didn't have room? I have a whole other margin that I can use. Let's find one more thing, and I'm gonna actually skip to another site so that I can find some more information. So here's their predators. That might be something interesting. I might even consider that in what do they eat, because it's not what they eat, but it's what eats them. So it's still, you know, kind of the food chain. So I'm gonna kind of make a barrier here, and I'm gonna write these animals hunt warthogs. I'm going to write lions, cheetahs, leopards, hyenas, and then wild dogs. If you've ever been to the Cincinnati Zoo, a wild dog is not, you know, a wolf or a German Shepherd that's run away from home and, you know, wanders around the streets. No, a wild dog is actually a specific type of animal. That's its name. So I just made a note that these animals are the ones that hunt warthogs under diet, just in case I need more information when writing that paragraph. All right, looking for interesting facts. Ooh. So how they protect themselves from predators is they attack with their tusks. So I think that's an interesting fact. Attack predators with their tusks. Okay, I've gotten some information from these two sites. Let's just double check San Diego Zoo. That's really interesting. Being adaptable means that you are flexible in the way that you live your life. So, for example, we have had to adapt to doing school from home rather than in the classroom. So if a warthog had to change to distance learning compared to learning in the classroom, evidently they would be able to switch very easily. So what it's saying is that they're not in danger, and this is why. They're able to adapt to new threats. So many warthogs in the wild look for food during the light of day and in the morning and the early evening, so that they're not hunted by predators that we mentioned earlier. But in areas where there's maybe lots of people and people are hunting them, people obviously are awake during the day. So they will switch to looking for food at night. So I'm just going to make a little note that they're very adaptable. And that's why they're not endangered. Again, these are your note-taking pages. So if yours looks messy like this or messier than this, that is perfectly fine. I found lots of interesting facts on warthogs using the resources provided to me. Okay. Notice that they're not complete sentences. That would have been day 2 of your project. So if I remember correctly, day 1 was completing notes on these 2 topics. Day 2, yesterday, Tuesday, was completing notes on these 2 topics. Again, 15, 20 minutes. So that's not even half of your daily school time. All right, for the next day, you would start writing your sentences. So today, I believe, you are going to start writing your paragraphs for animal appearance and habitat. So what they look like and where they live. Okay? Remember, I always have you draw your picture last. So let's focus on the words first. I have notes here. All I have to do is take these notes and rephrase them in a way that flows, it's organized, and in complete sentences. So animal appearance, I have written down that they have rough skin. They're usually black or brown. They have wiry hair. They walk on 4 legs. They have tusks coming out of their mouths. They have feet similar to a pig's, and they're kind of small. I want to organize this in a way that flows. So I'm going to start with the whole warthog, and then I'm going to narrow it down to different and specific parts of the warthog. So I'm going to write, warthogs are small mammals. We learned that they're mammals. That means that they have their babies like humans do and not by eggs. They are small mammals. They have rough, black or brown skin and wiry hair. Notice I included, they're kind of small. I might even put a check mark next to it. I included these 2 bullet points together because I'm talking about their skin and hair, which are, one and the same. So I'm still thinking about the whole warthog, okay? So rough skin, wiry hair, what color it normally is. Now, if I'm working from the whole up and down, next, am I going to write about their legs and their feet, or will I write about their mouth? Next, I'm going to talk about their mouth because I'm working my way down. So warthogs are small mammals. They have rough black or brown skin and wiry hair. They have tusks. Coming out of their mouths. So they have tusks coming out of their mouths. I have 2 lines left, which is just enough space to write about their legs and feet. Should I keep those separate or should I talk about them together? Are they closely related enough to combine in one sentence? I think I can connect their legs and feet into one sentence. So I might say, similar to a pig, warthogs walk on 4 legs and have, might not say hoofed feet. They consider hooves. Let me look this up really quickly. I think I'm losing my mind. Yes, so they do consider pig's feet and warthog's feet to be hooves. So I'm going to combine that into one sentence like I just said. They have tusks coming out of their mouths. Similar or like a pig, warthogs walk on 4 legs and hooved feet. Now, animal appearance is your first page. So I'm going to write that this is page number 1 in my book at the bottom. I have complete sentences. Let's make sure it flows, it feels organized, and it makes sense. Warthogs are small mammals. They have rough black or brown skin and wiry hair. They have tusks coming out of their mouths. Similar to a pig, warthogs walk on 4 legs and hooved feet. I think we're done. So let's go ahead and draw a picture. I'm gonna, again, draw it really quickly so that I'm not taking too much of your time. If you want to print out a picture, you're also more than welcome to do that. Oh man, you guys are gonna laugh at me. Oh, this looks more like Harambe than a warthog. Oh well. I'm sorry, Pumbaa. Gotta get those tusks. That's an important feature. It's coming out of their mouths, don't forget. And notice right here, notice this. What is that? That is a wart, my friends. See if I can zoom in. Nope. It was worth a try. Look at that. That's so interesting. I did not know that before. I might even draw that on my picture. Look at the wrinkles under his eyes. Teeny tiny little eyes, big wrinkles. Oh guys, this is awful. And then notice all of that hair, that flowing long Fabio hair going down its back. And I don't see that this one, oh, the tail's here. Interesting. Teeny tiny little skinny tail. Guys. Oh man, this is fantastic. All right. I have my picture. Here's a warthog. As you can see, you know, I would color it either brown or black, obviously. You know, their wiry hair, it looks like can be brown or black as well. So I would color it accurately to how I described it in the paragraph. All right, moving on. Again, day 3, today. Not only that, do you have to write that, but you also have to write this. But remember, you're not finding this information today. You already have it, so it's not going to take you as long. Actually, that took me less time than looking up information about it. So now we need to write about where they live, and I have less information about that. So this is going to be a much shorter paragraph than their appearance, and that's fine. See if I can find that picture of the savannah again. Here we go. So their habitat. Warthogs live in Africa. They live in a habitat called the savannah. The savannah is dry, has coarse grass, and few trees. If I want my reader to understand and visualize what I'm talking about, besides just drawing a picture, I could also say, imagine the habitat in The Lion King. And this is page 2. So I literally just took what I have written here in note form and rewrote them as sentences. First bullet says Africa. My first sentence, warthogs live in Africa. I'm thinking about the whole continent, going big to small. Next, my fact was savannah. So that's the name of their habitat. The warthogs live in a place, in a habitat called the savannah. Now let's talk about what details make the savannah. I have here that it's dry, it has coarse grass and few trees. So I just wrote that in paragraph form. The savannah is dry, has coarse grass, and few trees. And there, I've met my 3-sentence guidelines. I can't get the right word right now. And then I might draw, again, it would be great if I had crayons or something, but I don't want to take a bunch of your time getting artsy here. So notice how the trees aren't like Lorex trees, aren't like the trees that we have here. Skinny, skinny, skinny trunks. And instead of puffing out, They're actually quite flat, so the trees almost resemble a mushroom, kind of in a way. So I might literally just draw a couple blades of grass and a tree, and I would color it. And then that's it. I'm done today. Done. Wednesday's done. Want to put them back in order. Page 1, page 2. Okay. Next. So this is for tomorrow, Thursday. I need to take my notes about what they eat and some interesting facts, and I do need to write them in paragraph form. Animal diet is first, so let's look at what they eat. What was the main thing that we found out about warthogs? We found out that mainly they are plant eaters. So I'm going to write that first because that's the most important thing, the all-encompassing thing about a warthog. For the most part, or mainly, warthogs are plant eaters. So let's talk about the kind of plants that they eat. They eat, see, I've got my one bullet that talks about just plants. So let's read that one. Grass, roots, berries, and tree bark. Okay, so they eat grass, roots, berries, and tree bark. Imagine having tree bark in a bowl of milk for breakfast. Ugh. Crunchy. For the most part, warthogs are plant eaters. How do I know? Well, I know that they eat grass, roots, berries, and tree bark. Those are all plants that it eats, okay? Now let's take a step away from that and talk about how sometimes warthogs will eat insects, eggs, and dead animals. And this is page 3. I have met my 3-sentence criteria. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Criteria. On the rubric, it says that you need 3 sentences per topic. So I have my 3 sentences. For the most part, warthogs are plant eaters. They eat grass, roots, berries, and tree bark. Sometimes warthogs will eat insects, eggs, and dead animals. 3. If you don't think that you have enough information to write 3 sentences, do what I did. Make note of maybe what their predators are, if they have any, if they're not at the top of the food chain in their habitat. So if I hadn't have had 3 sentences to write, I could have included, like, also, warthogs are prey to the following animals: lions, cheetahs, leopards, and hyenas. Because that still has to do with diet. It's just not what the warthogs eat. I'm just trying to give you some help here. So for the picture, I might draw what they eat. I might draw grass. I might draw roots. I might draw berries. I might draw tree bark. I might draw insects and eggs, okay? But that's mainly what they eat. I've written page 3. This is done. That took what, 2-3 minutes? I'm gonna make sure that I put page 3 underneath page 2. All right, next we have interesting facts. And remember, I took so many interesting facts. I only need 3 sentences worth. So let's see if we can find which we think are the most important or the most interesting to us. Birds sit on warthogs and keep pests off of them. I feel like that's important because that's how they stay healthy. So I might include that. As soon as they wake up, they start distancing themselves from predators. I feel like that's moderately interesting. I feel like that's not super eye-catching. Warthogs are known for having warts on their faces. I thought that that was really funny. So I'm going, well, not funny. That sounds wrong. I just was very interested and surprised to hear that. Because I didn't know that, I guess I didn't realize that animals, mammals, warthogs could have warts on their faces. Interesting to me. So I starred that one as well. I'm starring the ones I want to include so I don't get so confused and distracted by all the words and facts on my page. They're very adaptable, and that's why they're not endangered. Okay, that's really interesting. They attack predators with their tusks. So now I need to decide what is more interesting to me. If I'm being honest, I already knew that they attack predators with their tusks. I didn't realize how adaptable they were, and that that's mainly why they're not endangered. So I'm going to include that fact. I feel like that was the most surprising of the two. So now I have 3 of my interesting facts starred. 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 I'm going to focus on and rewrite as complete sentences to include on my page 4. Interesting facts. Warthogs are known, got to start it off with this one, for having warts on their faces. I'm not going to be super picky about the organization on this page. When you move on to 3rd grade, you'll focus more on starting a paragraph with a topic or introductory sentence. I'm not going to be picky about that with our 2nd grade writing. You can just write in whichever order you want 3 interesting facts written in complete sentences. So I chose to start with their name. Warthogs are known for having warts on their faces, which isn't, factor in their name, warthog. Thought that was interesting. Next, I'm going to write birds sit on warthogs and keep pests off of them, period. Last, I'm going to write, they are very adaptable and this is what Nat Geo said, that's why they aren't endangered. Period. There's my 3 sentences. I'm remembering to write page 4. This is the last page of information. Okay. Warthogs are known for having warts on their faces. Birds sit on warthogs and keep pests off of them. They are very adaptable, and that's why they aren't endangered. Again, there's not really a right or wrong way to make this page flow. Just give me 3 facts written in complete sentences. And then I could choose to draw all 3 of those things. I could choose to illustrate 1. It might be easiest to draw the warts on their faces, and then maybe a bird sitting on them. Again, I'm drawing this super fast. I'm not going to be as particular about this one. So I might draw a bird, and it's catching a fly or something that's bothering it. And then I drew warts on its face. Okay. Wow, I have all of my writing pages done. I have done 4 topics of interest of different facts about warthogs. I have written my 4 pages that I need for my project. On Friday, the last day, you will do kind of the more cosmetic stuff. So you'll focus on the title, or cover page, sorry. Table of contents. a diagram of your animal, and then double check your rubric to make sure you have everything. So let's do that real quick. It says all about, all you need to do is write the name of your animal. All about warthogs. Okay, draw your picture again. It gets worse every time because I'm not wanting to take a ton of your time away while still giving you an example. Okay, all about warthogs. Written and illustrated by, write your name. My name is Mrs. Keller. Okay, my cover page is done. Obviously, I want you to take some time and color this, okay? Next, table of contents. All right, let's look and see which order our pages come in. First, we have animal appearance. Notice that that's the title of this page. That's the subtopic. That's the heading. So page 1 is going to be animal. Don't come up with your own title. It's already there for you. It's spelled correctly there for you. Animal appearance is page number 1. Page 1, animal appearance. Let's see what page 2 is. Page 2 says animal habitat. Animal habitat. I'm writing exactly that, because that's what the subtopic is, that's what the heading is, and it's page number 2. Page number 3 was animal diet. I'm going to write exactly that, not making up my own. And that was page number 3. Lastly, we had interesting facts. That's what I'm going to write. This color writes so big. And interesting facts was page 4. I only had you do 4 pages. So you don't need to have anything here. You can cross them off, or you can just leave them blank. I'm going to leave them blank. Table of contents and cover page are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first have my cover page, then my table of contents, then interesting facts, page 1. Oh, that was 4. Scratch that. Animal appearance, page 1, behind the table of contents. Animal habitat, page 2, behind animal appearance. Animal diet, page 3, behind animal habitat. Interesting facts, page 4, behind animal diet. Okay, the last thing I need for my book is an animal diagram. Let's go back to a picture of a warthog. This one had the best one. Okay, so we talked about some parts of their appearance today. The parts that we focused on, the parts that we really learned are, unique to the warthog. Oh, this one's buff. Interesting. I would definitely want to label, because that's what a diagram does, it labels the tusks. I would want to maybe label the hooved feet, even though you can't tell in my picture, but I would want you to obviously spend more time on your picture. Hooved feet. I might make note of the hair down the back. And I'm going to want to make note of the warts on their face. I was able to find 4 things that we talked about in our books to label. Their hooved feet, tusks, warts, ridged hair. Okay. Now I'm going to put this behind my page 4 interesting facts, let's take a look at what my book looks like. All about warthogs. Written and illustrated by Mrs. Keller. Table of contents. Now I know where I can find each page in my book. Page 1, animal appearance, 3 sentences. Page 2, animal habitat, 3 sentences. Page 3, animal diet, 3 sentences. Page 4, interesting facts, 3 sentences. Lastly, I have my animal diagram. And not only do I have a picture of my animal, I have what you need to have in any diagram, which is labeled features. So I found 4 features to label. Try to label at least 2 animal features in your animal diagram. I'm done. Now let me just double check that I'm done. How can I do that? I'm gonna look at my rubric. If I wanna have a 3 or a 4, which is what you're aiming for, you don't want a 0. 0 is if you don't turn it in or finish it, or if you don't have accurate work. A 1 you'd rather not have, which means that the information is not very accurate. You're missing a lot of your components of the book. If you get a 2, that's okay, that's about average. There might be inaccuracies in information. Maybe you've only written 1 or 2 complete sentences, or you haven't written complete sentences. And then, you know, maybe you forgot to label your diagram. This is what you're gonna aim for. Focus on this. Your work is complete and accurate, which means your information is correct about your animal. You've written 3 complete sentences using appropriate capital letters and punctuation for each of the subtopics listed below: appearance, habitat, diet, and interesting facts. You also have these components of your book: a table of contents, page numbers, a labeled diagram of your animal, and a cover page. And then you don't have several spelling errors because you are looking at information that's spelled correctly online, in your article that I provided you, in a book from home, or simply from the headings written on your each of your pages. So there you have it. Your book is done. You have all week to get this done. You had over the weekend. If you so choose to, I would rather you not. This upcoming weekend is Mother's Day. Spend time with your mom. Do something really nice for her. And don't work on homework. Don't stress her out with reminding her at the last second, hey, I remember I have a writing project. Moms don't need that stress on Mother's Day. We're going to present these on Monday at our Zoom meeting. I can't wait to learn all about whichever animal you chose. All right, I will see you this evening with the Mighty Miss Malone. We've got 2 more chapters to read tonight. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that maybe if you were stressed out about the amount of work that you thought this was going to be, that now maybe you feel more reassured that it's not quite as much as, you know, previous writing projects. I wanted to make sure that it was manageable for distance learning and for the amount of time we have left in the school year. So, all right, I love you guys. Bye.